Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Here we are again to continue our Bhakti Sastri session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthya Bhutani Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guru Vani Prashadne. Nirvisesa Sunya Bharaji Vachatya Satani. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Sati Prabhupada. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Rama. So you are welcome once again to our Bhakti Sastri session. We are treating chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga or Astanga Yoga. At the beginning of this chapter, we talked about these two stages of Astanga Yoga. One is the beginning stage, or one is about to begin. It's called Yoga Ruruksha. Then, when one attains Dhyana Yoga, or when one is practicing, and when his practice has taken him to a higher level of Astanga Yoga, it becomes a Yoga Ruruksha. So the first 9 verses took us on that, how to become a Yoga Ruruksha. Most of the emphasis is on Yoga Ruruksha. Then, from there, we talked about the sadhana. From there on, the sadhana, from 10 to 32, the sadhana of Astanga Yoga. And we got to the point around 27, 28. Then for one who has attained the Brahman realization, after doing Dhyana Yoga for a long time, one attains some kind of oneness. Becomes self-like, I am not the body, I'm a spirit soul. So you become merged in that ecstasy of realizing that it's a spirit soul, part and parcel of God. So no more activity there, it stays there. I'm a spirit soul, you merge into that. Then, if one advances further, continue to practice, then he will realize the Paramatma. He will realize the Lord in the heart as a super soul. He will see his own super soul, then he begins to see the super soul in all living entities. So at that point, he has arrived. So from Brahman realization, a step further is super soul realization. At that time, he attains a lot of mystic CDs. He starts exchanging opulences with the super soul. But then still, that particular realization is very nice. Even the Bhakti yogis eventually realize it. And there is a meeting point between theoretical knowledge and realized knowledge. Realized knowledge is coming from the super soul. Theoretical knowledge is coming from the scripture. Realized knowledge is coming from the super soul. So they meet up, and that becomes self-realization. So the Bhakti yogi attains that position. The Dhyana yogi attains that position also. So when he attains this position and sincerely and begin to see everything as equal, one with the Lord, is begin to see every living entity as part and parcel of Krishna, and begin to see the super soul in every living entity. You begin to see everything clearly. This one not only just theoretical, but he's seeing it, he's perceiving the super soul in every living entity, and he's seeing. So 2 things happen. two things happen. His Baba, his vision changes. When he attains that stage of self-realization, his vision changes. And that is why he's able to see everything as one, or the Lord in the heart of every living entity, just like the Vijaya Vinaya Sampani verse, seeing everything as equal on the same platform, the soul, the super soul, and everybody is just, we are all just harboring the Lord in the heart. So you become very, very humble. And when this happens, his activity also changes. When he fully realizes it, you come to realize that, this is oneness. And to the extent that I am suffering, I have been suffering because I lack God consciousness. I disconnected, God disconnected from the Lord, and I was not doing my eternal duty. So others are also similarly suffering because of this ignorance. I have come out of this ignorance by the grace of the devotee and by the grace of the Lord. So now that I've come out of the ignorance, I still know that these people are suffering because of their ignorance. So I have to do something to help them to come out of the ignorance, just as I've been helped to come out of this ignorance. So you begin to feel compassion. You begin to feel very overwhelming compassion. Oh, are these people suffering? I can play a role in changing them. I was once like them before, in ignorance, but now I'm out. I can see everything clearly. They can also come, I can help them to come out. So at that time, that thinking overwhelms his consciousness. Then he give up every other thing. You want to do welfare work, supreme welfare work. And that supreme welfare work is the work in Krishna consciousness. We want to help, we want to become a medium, we want to become a channel for positive change in the life of people. So such a person takes to preaching, just like Srila Prabhupada, because of that compassion, overflowing compassion. He left his comfort zone, India. He came to the West, which was just like a hell in terms of activities. And he has to come there to try to sacrifice all his comfort to make sure that he gets people connected to the Lord so that they can regain their happiness. Because that is the formula. He has seen, he has experienced it. So he wants to share it with others. So his vision changes, then his activities changes. In sense, we say his bhava changed and his kriya also changed. So this is where we are. In verses 30 and 31, his bhava changed. That is his vision. He attained that equal vision. And that is confirmed in verses 30 and 31. But in verse 32, then the activity also changes. And this is where we are today. Yesterday we stopped at verse 30. So verse 30, the vision change. Begin to see everything in the Lord, seeing everything in the Lord, seeing the Lord in everything. So in that way, the Lord could never be lost to him, and he was never lost to the Lord. And in that way, he was well situated in the Lord. Then a further clarification of that, the continuation of that vision is 31. So today we're going to start with 31. Then we move to 32, where his activities also change because of the vision he has had. His vision has changed in verse 30 and 31. In verse 32, his activities will change also. Then we see the basis of, the greatest welfare work, how it all happened. It is the overflowing compassion of the pure devotees, translated into the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Other similar. So having said that, let us now go into the verses for today. Verse 31. Sarva Bhuta Stitam Yomam Bhajati Ekatvam Astita Savata Vartamanopi Sayogi Mayivartate Such a yogi who engages in worshipful service of the super soul, knowing that I and the super soul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. And who is that yogi? That yogi is he who sees Krishna everywhere and who sees everything in Krishna. Such a person is never lost, nor is Krishna ever lost to him. And that is such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the super soul, knowing that I and the super soul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. So someone should read the purport. Purport! You want me to read? I will read, oh, for my purification.
Purport.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, carry on.
A yogi who is practicing meditation on the super soul sees within himself the plenary portion of Krishna as Vishnu with 4 hands, holding conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus flower. The yogi should know that Vishnu is not different from Krishna. Krishna in this form of super soul is situated in everyone's heart. Furthermore, there is no difference between the innumerable super souls present in the innumerable hearts of living entities. Nor is there a difference between a Krishna conscious person always engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna and a perfect yogi engaged in meditation on the super soul. The yogi is Krishna conscious, even though he may be engaged in various activities while in material existence. Remains always situated in Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrita Siddhu of Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami.
Nikila Su
Api Avashisu Jivan Muktan Saukyate. A devotee of the Lord, always acting in Krishna consciousness, is automatically liberated. In the Narada Parikaratra, this is confirmed in this way. Dik Kaladi Anaivachine Krishne Seto Vidyayacha Tanmayo Bhavati Sipram Jivo Brahmani Yojayet. By concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna, who is all-pervading beyond time and space, one becomes absorbed in thinking of Krishna and then attains the happy state of transcendental association with him. Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance in yoga practice. This very understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart makes the yogi faultless. The Veda Gopala Tapani Upanishad, chapter 1, verse 21, confirm this inconceivable potency of the Lord as follows. Eko pisan bahuda yo vabati. Although the Lord is one, he is present in innumerable hearts as many. Similarly, in the Smriti Sastra, it is said, Ekava paro Vishnu sarvavyapi na samsaya aiswayat rupam ekamcha suryavat bahu deyate. Vishnu is one, and yet he is certainly all-pervading. By his inconceivable potency, in spite of his one form, he is present everywhere as the sun appears in many places at once. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you get this one. Vishnu is one, and yet is certainly all pervading. By his inconceivable potency, in spite of his one form, he is present everywhere, as the sun appears in many places at once. So you can you can see the principle of Achintya Beda Beda Tattva in action, simultaneous, oneness, and different. So if the sun can appear in many places at once, how much more the Lord, who is the source of all potencies? This is the question. So if the sun, which is just one of the creation of the Lord, has such potency to appear in many places simultaneously, how much more the Lord, who is the source of the sun? So when we say the Lord is in the heart of every living entity, it is the same thing. It is not a big thing for the Supreme Lord to be in the heart of every living entity, because he can expand into unlimited forms, and his form as the super soul is in the heart of all living entities. You see, yet he is still the same person. You see? So those yogis who realize the super soul are the same. They have attained, realizing the super soul is equal to realizing Krishna in Krishna consciousness. Though in the Bhagavan realization, there are melodious relational activities. But in the super soul realization, it's just exchange of mystic opulences and no such transcendental activity. That is the difference. But the same goal that the Bhakti yogi is looking for is the same goal that the Astanga yogi is looking for. So when the Astanga yogi attains that perception of the super soul, when he starts to have that realization of the super soul, you see that the yogi see the super soul, and because of his relationship with the Lord also reveals himself according to his own disposition. Like the Bhakta, the Lord reveals himself according to the disposition of the devotee. So the Bhakta will see the Lord as Radha Krishna, Radha Govinda, Rukmini Dwarkadish, depending on the particular relationship individually he has. At the point of attainment of super soul realization, the super soul manifests in different ways to the different devotees according to their service attitude. So this is it. The same Lord, but it manifests to the different devotees according to their service attitude. And this is the point mentioned here. You see, so the self-realized Astanga yogi sees the Lord as the super soul, standing with four symbols: the conch, the disc, the club, and the lotus flower. But a devotee, a Vaishnava, a Bhakta, we see the same super soul as Radha Krishna. The Lord will manifest to the Bhakta as Radha Krishna, Radha Govinda, Sitaram, depending on the mellow that devotee has with the Lord. So in other words, the process of Ashtanga yoga can take you to the ultimate goal. Okay, but it is so cumbersome. That's all. It's very, very difficult to practice. And you can see that very soon Arjuna is going to reject this practice because it is not easy. It is not easy to control the mind, keep it in one place. But the same mind can easily be controlled when it is engaged in activities in devotion, just as Ambarish Maharaj did. You engage your hands in clapping for the Lord. You engage your legs in dancing for the Lord. Whereas the Ashtanga yogi is just sitting there. It doesn't engage the senses. But as a Bhakti yogi, you are trained to engage the senses. So you are seeing, you don't close your eyes, but you are seeing, but at the same time, you are seeing everything in relationship with the Lord. You are seeing things with spiritual vision. Both the material objects, you see them with spiritual vision. Then the spiritual objects, you see them with spiritual vision. So that is it. We have to train our eyes. The Bhakti yogi trains his eyes to see all so-called material objects with spiritual vision. And when your eyes are thus trained, it's just vision leads to purification of the heart. Your heart becomes more and more purified of material desires. That is the result. Your heart becomes more and more purified. And when you begin to see spiritual objects with spiritual vision, immediately your devotion intensifies. But the non-devotees, they see material objects with material vision. So they lead to more and more delusion. Then they see spiritual objects also with material vision. That leads to committing of offenses. When they see the deity, they just blaspheme. When they see the devotees, they blaspheme. When they see the scripture, they blaspheme. Any spiritual object, they try to see it with material vision. Material vision means seeing things relatively, not seeing beyond the surface. Not seeing things in relationship with the Lord. So in that way, they remain bewildered and more bewildered, the non-devotees. Whereas the devotees get purified and purified until they attain self-realization. This is the process. So Krishna consciousness is a process for training us to training our eyes to see material objects with spiritual vision. That means seeing everything in relationship with the Lord and going further to engaging everything in the service of the Lord. And therefore, seeing the Lord as He is, as the source of everything, and seeing ourselves as His eternal servants and functioning on that platform. This is the process of the devotional service. So reestablish our consciousness, to reestablish our identity, to reestablish our individuality, to establish our service relationship with the Lord. This is devotional service. It's a very beautiful process whereby even the senses are engaged. So this is beautiful. This is a stage that eventually the Ashtanga yogi also arrives at. Seeing the Lord everywhere, seeing the Lord in every living entity, seeing everything in the Lord. And such a person, the Lord is never lost to him and is never ever lost. The whole material world itself, the whole material world and everything therein become paraphernalia in the service of the Lord. This is the beauty of being part of this Bhakti Yoga process. Everything. You don't need to renounce anything because everything actually belongs to the Lord. But you learn how to engage everything in the service of the Lord. It is on that basis that we are using microphone. We are learning the science of engaging everything in the service of the Lord. All the scientific creations, we can still engage them as proper utilitarians in the service of the Lord. We are using phone to talk about the Lord now. This phone, we are using it to talk about it. And we are using everything in the service of the Lord. We cook, we offer everything in the service of the Lord. We sing, but we sing the glories of the Lord. We dance to the tune of spiritual songs. We clap our hands in glorification of the Lord. So this is transcendental, and this is very, very beautiful. And that makes the difference between the Bhakti yogi and Ashtanga. And Ashtanga yogi doesn't engage the sense. You just sit down in one place, in a secluded place, practicing how to attain perfection and liberation. It's actually even a selfish process. It's selfish. So you are thinking of your own personal liberation, and that is all that matters. See, and when you don't get, as you want it, you will get disturbed, definitely. Krishna consciousness is transcendental. So we should continue to do Krishna consciousness and never give up. Okay, so in the next verse, we are going to see the activities of the person who has attained this kind of consciousness. He's seeing the Lord in every situation. He's seeing every situation in the Lord. He sees people as they are. They are suffering because of their disconnected consciousness from the Lord. And he also knew that he was like that before. But by the grace of this process and by the grace of the transcendentalist, he has become purified. His eyes have become purified, his consciousness has become purified, his intelligence has become purified, his mind has become purified. Therefore, when others are suffering bondage, entanglement, and miseries, he is experiencing ecstasy and complete internal happiness. Real one. And that makes the difference. Complete internal happiness. Hare Krishna Bhakta Ato.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah, Prabhu, go ahead.
My question is the Vishnu image or the Vishnu tattoos. I discovered that the arrangement of the conch, lotus, wheel, they are different. Is there a particular one that is the Paramatma, or all of them can be regarded as Paramatma?
Yeah, technically, all of them cannot be regarded as Paramatma, though they are the same. They are the same, but depending on the way these weapons are held, they are differently named. But they are all doing the function, or they can all do the function of the Paramatma. All Vishnu forms are not less than the Paramatma. The Paramatma is like the lowest form of Vishnu. You see? So all other forms are still Vishnu. They can all function as the Paramatma and even much more. But based on how these four symbols are held, they are differently named. And that means
Then again, Prabhu, from the arrangement of the weapons, how many are they? Because if I use mathematics, I'm identifying 24. Are they up to 24 or less than 24, depending on the arrangement of the weapons?
They are innumerable.
Okay.
Material mathematical formula cannot capture the expansion. They are innumerable Vishnu forms, according to the particular activity that Vishnu form need to perform. The particular duty, and the Vishnu form, they perform unlimited duties. So based on the particular type of duty they need to perform, the symbols are differently held. So any exponential formula cannot actually grab it. 1 second. Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes. But we are in a Bhakti Sastri class, so after that, I will send the test. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Sorry, Prabhu, it's all part of the thing. to give Sunday class, so I needed to select the text. That is why. Okay, so that is it, Prabhuji.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so exponential formulas are very, very limited. So when they are, when they are directed towards the unlimited Lord, so they can give a hint. They can give a hint, but infinity, the answer is in infinity. Hare Krishna. The forms are infinite, and therefore the duties are infinite, and they cannot be limited to some limited calculations. So they are not limited. Okay, so that is that. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Verse 32. Atmam pamyena savatra samam pasyati yo arjuna sukam vaya diva dukam sayogi paramo mata. Sayogi, such a yogi. He is perfect. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. Purport.
One who is Krishna conscious is perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. The cause of the distress of a living entity is forgetfulness of Krishna, of his relationship with God. The cause of the distress of a living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with God. And the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all the activities of the human being, the proprietor of all lands and planets, and the sincerest friend of all living entities. The perfect yogi knows that the living being who is conditioned by the modes of material nature is subjected to the threefold material miseries due to forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. Since the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious, he is the best philanthropist in the world, and he is the dearest servitor of the Lord. Na cha tasman manu Yesu sustain me priya ha pritama. Bhagavad Gita 18:69. In other words, a devotee of the Lord always looks to the welfare of all living entities. And in this way, he is factually the friend of everyone. He is the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but strives for others also. He does not envy his fellow living entities. Here is a contrast between a pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi interested only in his personal elevation. The yogi who has withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who tries his best to turn every man toward Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The yogi who has withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who is trying his best to turn every man towards Krishna consciousness. So that qualifies everything. Here, since the vision has changed, He begins to see clearly. The Bhakti yogi begins to see clearly that people are suffering because of their ignorance, just as he was suffering when he was in ignorance. And by the grace of others who have become liberated, he also became liberated from that ignorance. Therefore, he sees that the same formula that worked for him can work for all others. And therefore, he becomes overwhelmed with the desire to help others to come to the platform he is. Just like somebody who is seeing sees a blind man. He sees a blind man. He was blind before. And somebody had given him a particular medicine herb to apply. And by applying the herb, he regained his vision. So if such a person sees other blind men, naturally, if he is sincere and if he is actually, grateful to the Lord for what the Lord did to him through others, he will want to give the same herb to any other person that is blind, so that the person will become free of the blindness. Is it true or not?
It is true.
Yes.
True.
Like as I am now, I am asthmatic, for instance. If I discover any herb that somebody gives me, I take and the asthma goes. Anywhere I see somebody that is asthmatic, I will be cruel and inhuman if I don't provide that formula, if I don't give that same formula to the person. So naturally, just as I got freed from that misery by the mercy of somebody who gave me the herb, I would also like to give the same herb to others who are suffering from the same disease. This is the point here. The pure devotee sees now. He sees the Lord in everyone's heart. He sees everything in the Lord. So he becomes free from all anxieties and misconceptions. But he's seeing that people are seen grossly in misconception. They don't even know the difference between their body and themselves. They are in complete ignorance. They are thinking they are called James or Bubu or Lulu or Tata. They think that they are Tata. They are the body. In fact, they think that they are the name given to them. You see, this is very gross misconception. They are not the name. The name was given to identify their body, but their souls who are in the body. So when the soul begins to think himself to be the body, it is gross ignorance. And when he begins to do activities based on that bodily misconception, he begins to go deeper into ignorance in the wrong direction, begin to go fast inside the wrong direction. So for somebody who is sober, who has become free from such ignorance, he would like to educate the person over, you are not this body, so all your priorities are, generated to taking care of the body. Don't you know that the body is temporary? You are a spirit soul. If you are working so hard just to take care of the temporary, but the body will fail you. Are you not seeing that the body is already failing you by growing old? Old age means just before death. This body will die. So if you waste all your time trying to take care of the body, you are wasting a whole valuable human form of life. The intelligent people do not do this. So you want to educate him. Who are you? Ask yourself the question. Touch your hand, touch your leg, touch your mouth, touch your nose. Then touch yourself. Then he's unable to touch himself. Anywhere he touches, it's just part of the body. Then you see, can you realize now? You are not this body. You are a soul inside the body. You touch your leg. Yes, you use your leg. Okay. Anything that you use is not you. You are the person using the thing. You are a soul living inside the body, using the body as an instrument to fulfill certain desires. But you are not the body, you are a soul. So when you know that, then you begin to try to, what is the nature of the soul? The soul is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. Then if that is the case, why is the eternal soul experiencing suffering? Okay, he's experiencing suffering because he's identifying himself with the body. So first of all, remove your consciousness from this bodily consciousness. You are not the body, you are a soul. then you begin to become free from suffering. And when you begin to engage in activities of the soul, you are in the journey of complete freedom. And this is the process of Krishna consciousness. For one who has become liberated from ignorance by dint of Krishna consciousness, want to give the opportunity for others to also become liberated from ignorance. Therefore, it makes himself available as a channel for positive change in the lives of others. So he renounces all his bodily concerns and he wants to be used as instrument. All his activities are just to act as instrument to bring people back on track. If you do that, you are doing the greatest welfare work. And according to this test, such a yogi, a Bhakti yogi, a devotee in Krishna consciousness is greater than this Astanga yogi who is thinking of only himself, thinking of how to liberate himself, going to stay in secluded place. So towards the end, the last paragraph is the Prabhupada contrasted the situation of the Bhakti yogi to that of the Astanga yogi, and by juxtaposing and putting them side by side, immediately even a child can draw the conclusion very perfect. Don't you see it? Is it not beautiful? Now, having said that, when we read the purport now, you will realize it, you will understand it more clearly. Purport. One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. This alone covers the whole purport of this verse. This sentence alone. This sentence alone is aware of everyone's happiness. What is the formula for everyone's happiness? He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. But he knew that when he was engaged in activities of sense gratification, he was suffering. And therefore, everybody engaged in activities of sense gratification is actually suffering. Everything is a mystery to him. He's suffering from ignorance. Okay? And you see that he was there before, but by now he has become happy after coming in contact with those who are liberated from that bodily consciousness, who are liberated from sense gratification. By coming in contact with pure devotees and devotees, he has become free from that distress of identifying with the body. Imagine it is a very gross distress. Somebody, a tenant identifying himself with the apartment. The tenant and the apartment are different. But the tenant is now thinking that is the apartment. What level of laughable ignorance and misidentification? The tenant can leave the apartment and come back to the apartment again and leave again. Every day he's leaving the apartment and he's coming in, yet he's thinking that he is the apartment. This is gross misidentification of oneself with the body. Gross. So it's lamentable, and he comes to see that, oh, all these people, even very learned people, they don't know their real identity. They claim to be very big, they want respect, but they don't even know their real identity as spirit souls. What a pitiable situation. So let me help these people. By dint of his own experience, he has understood the happiness and distress of others. People are suffering because of ignorance. Just as he was suffering because of that ignorance, now he's happy because of by dint of his own experience. He's going to realize that what is good for James is also good for Joshua. Therefore, as he became free from that bodily designation by the mercy, by the grace of the devotee of the Lord and the Lord himself, let him also become a channel to carrying that grace to others so that they can become similarly liberated from the sufferings they are undergoing right now. So that realization translates into overwhelming, overflowing compassion to the extent that he will be ready to sacrifice every comfort just to become an instrument in liberating others from suffering. So when he said he's doing the greatest welfare work, this is what it means. The greatest welfare work is to remove that ignorance and replace it with knowledge. The knowledge that you are not this body, you are a spirit soul. And also he is able to transmute that knowledge into his service equivalent. So that by doing those services of the soul and his relationship with the Lord, he will become happy. Don't you see? Just that one sentence alone. One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. That is the meaning. Then that is further explained. The cause of the distress of a living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with God. That is the only cause of a difference or the suffering of the living entities. They are operating as a hand that is separated from the body. They are trying to live apart from the body. The hand is trying to live apart from the body. The hand is supposed to be a part of the body. It is alive when it is a part of the body. But when the hand wants to live apart from the body, when it wants to live separately from the body, it suffers. And this is the suffering of the living entities. You see? It's the suffering of the living entities. And the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all the activities of the human being, the proprietor of all lands and planets, and the sincerest friend of all living entities. As we read in Bhagavad Gita 5:29, Bhaktaram Jagya Tapasam, Sarva Loka Maheswaram, Suridam Sarva Bhutanam, Gyatu Amam Santim Rishat. He realizes this. You see, the happiness formula is to know that Krishna is the proprietor, is the Lord of everything and everyone. Yes. And therefore is the Lord, is the master, is the owner of all planets and demigods and everything therein. Everything belongs to God. The land that people are fighting for, they are killing themselves for, it belongs to God. No human being created this land here. No human being created the earth. Yet they are fighting over land, selling it very expensively. They are all building on false, on false understanding, misdirected consciousness. You see, so the devotee realizes it, so he wants to let everybody know that everything belongs to God. We are all passerbys here. And God has given us all the facilities we need to sustain on this tabernacle. So we should not become overly, attached to becoming false proprietors. We should give up that sense of false proprietorship because the original proprietor is God. Otherwise, why is it that when we are fighting for lands, the same land swallow both the fighters in due course of time? When we are fighting, two people are fighting for land, killing and putting juju on the land here and there. In the end, what happens? They are both buried on the land. The land swallows their bodies. So this is ignorance. So the devotee knows that just putting God in his position, in obedience to the Savasya principle, that everything animate or inanimate in this world all belong to God. So once you know his quota and act accordingly, that is the formula for happiness. The devotee knows, so he wants to tell people about this formula for happiness. He has already seen the cause of their distress, and he's now seeing the formula for happiness. He wants to tell them the formula for happiness. So, and the Lord being being in the heart of every living entity is the best friend. Is the friend because he's not interested in self gratification that they are competing for. It's not their competitor. Then the perfect yogi knows that the living entity, the living being who is conditioned by the modes of material nature is subjected to the threefold mysteries due to forgetfulness of a relationship with Krishna. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. That's why he becomes a Sankirtan devotee. You want to, while everybody is dressing up, trying to show up that they are something, he carry books and he go and meet them. They push him away, they turn him away, they label him, they call him all names. He's still trying to give them books. Please take this book, you'll be happy. If you read this book, you'll be free from material desires. Like that. So this Krishna consciousness activity is the greatest welfare work. So we are reading again. Since the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious, he is the best philanthropist in the world and he is the dearest servitor of the Lord. Why a devotee is considered the greatest welfare worker? Because he's trying to distribute Krishna consciousness to people. He's trying to tell people about their relationship with the Lord. He's trying to tell the disconnected hand. He's trying to tell the disconnected hand that hand you are disconnected, you are suffering. You only dry up very soon. So the best way is to reconnect back to the body. When the hand is reconnected back to the body and begin to function as part of the body, then it becomes happy automatically. It doesn't need to look for food separately. The food that's sent to the stomach will nourish the hand automatically. Watering the root of the plant nourishes the different branches. Similarly, by the hand functioning in harmony with the whole body, the hand will be nourished automatically. There is no need for separate endeavor. Just become a servant of God. Establish yourself there and naturally you will be happy. That is the formula for happiness, my friend. Therefore, one who is doing this is the greatest welfare worker. Therefore, a devotee is the greatest welfare worker. When a devotee is doing this, the Ashtanga yogi is thinking of how to liberate himself, meditating with closed eyes, harmonizing this selfishness versus selflessness. In selflessness, there is life. In selfishness, there is death. Simple. Yes. So, in other words, a devotee of the Lord always looks to the welfare of all living entities. And in this way, he is factually the friend of everyone. He is the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but tries for others also. He does not envy his fellow living entities. Here is the contrast. Here is the contrast between a pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi interested in his own personal elevation. A yogi who has withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who is trying his best to turn every man toward Krishna consciousness. So all glories to Krishna consciousness, Ki Jai. All glories to the Yogi Bhakti Yogi Ki Jai. All glories to the devotee Ki Jai. Devotee is the highest form of yogi. And the final conclusion of this chapter, it is very clearly declared that of all yogis, the best yogi is the one who is working in devotion. So we are on the best track. We just need to position ourselves properly by acting properly and learning how to control our minds and senses, because no one will control your mind for you. They say people can do so many services for you. They can wash your clothes, they can go on errand, they can do this, they can cook, but to control the senses, no one can do it for you. To control your mind, nobody can do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. Just as nobody eats for you, that you put the food into your own mouth, send it into your own personal stomach. The same way, to control your mind and senses, no one else can do it for you. You can do it. Only you can do it for yourself. So let us try to become proper devotees and make progress on this transcendental path. There is no other way. There is no shortcut. Hare Krishna. Are there some questions on this point before we move to the next? Okay, let's move to the next, because in the next few verses, Arjuna is going to maybe verse 33 to 36. Verses 33 to 36. Arjuna is going to register. Hare Krishna.
So it's something I want to ask about the last sentence in the purpose. The yogi who has withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who is trying his best to turn every man towards Krishna consciousness. Can this statement by Srila Prabhupada relate to our Harinam Sankirtan we normally go?
Yes, it's part of it. It's part of the preaching effort. Lord Chaitanya dedicated his life to preaching, to doing Harinam activities, just is sending Lord Nityananda and the Haridas Thakur to go on Sankirtan. All is to propagate, to establish this point, that the principle of living is to live for others. The principle of living is to live for others. How much are you living for others? Are you living for others or you are living for yourself? The principle of living is to live for others.
If we are not doing that as devotees, what does it mean?
Yeah, if they are preaching in their own different ways, if they are distributing books, it's okay. But if you go deep into that, devotees are supposed to do that. If devotees are not doing that here and there, it's due to organizational lapses. There are so many factors. When you are talking of temple management activities, there are so many factors that are involved. Some factors are, some people have a strong desire to do it, but there are some factors that are demotivating, so demotivating that if you insist, you are like somebody will take it as serious offense. These are organizational lapses, organizational bottlenecks. But bigger than that is to live a life in such a way that all your life is preaching. Beyond organizational constraint, your own personal life should be a preaching, reminding people about the goal of life, the importance of living a God-centered life. That is the bigger picture. Okay, so if that means it's an activity that should be done unconditionally. If organizational bottlenecks constrain somebody from doing or arranging devotees to go on Harinam and they are not doing the Harinam, their focus has become something different. They consider it more important to find way to source for Lashmi, and it is a loss of focus on part of maybe management or whatever. But that is apart. Beyond that, all our lives should be a preaching. Our lives should be a message. A tree, for instance, does not go out to do Harinam Sankirtan, but a tree is living for others, and that is also Harinam Sankirtan. It's Harinam Sankirtan for a tree to produce fruit for others. When the tree produces fruit, who eats the fruit? Does the tree eat the fruit itself? No, it's for others. It's for others. When the cow gives milk, it produces milk. The milk, the cow itself does not drink the milk. It's for others. The principle of living is to live for others. So if by powerful arrangements, transcendental arrangements, opportunity like Harinam comes where we can go together and sing together and collectively do that, living for others, reminding them about the goal of life. If we can do it, all glories. But if due to organizational bottlenecks, well, they are unable to do it congregationally, then individually, one should be able to go. A devotee that is so determined to preach will be able to carry books and go out and preach, meet people and distribute books. If somebody is in a situation whereby he cannot do that also, his own personal life, daily life, exemplary daily life should be a preaching, a reminder, a glorification to the process of living in harmony with God. So that is the personal application ultimately, beyond organizational provisions, facilitation. Understand? Do you get the point, right? In all circumstances, let us live for others.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Oh, best among the personalists. The devotees are all only me. Only my video is on. All the other devotees, they have decided to hide behind the screen. Eh? They decided to hide behind.
I don't on my own.
You don't on. Yes, Isana Goranga has on also, but he's still hiding. On your videos, we are not promoting impersonalism. We are promoting personalism. Okay? Anandajit, where are you? Balabhadra, where are you? Bhakti Elvis, where are you? Eh? Anandajit and Bhakti Elvis are still unable to come up. We want to see you. Oh, okay, your voice is even in ecstasy. No problem. We pardon you. You can stay there. Anyway, it is better for your video to be on so that we know that you are there. So that when I'm saying a point that is penetrating, by seeing your faces, I know whether the point is hitting something or not. But when you hide, you are not giving me the opportunity to get a feedback from what I'm saying. And that is selfishness in parade.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. The scenario you painted on the scenario you painted on
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, it's okay. Most of you here, when I try to call you for you to send data, you will avoid my call. When I call for you to send data, you will avoid my call. And this is not very good. Eh? You should be ready to facilitate this activity, because this is a transcendental activity, whether you like it or not. When I call Isana Guranga and Anantajit to send data, they will refuse to pick my call. They will not call back also. This is not very first class. You should evolve from there.
You know that.
You should rise above that level, okay? Okay, that is it. I know very soon now, they will go back one by one behind the screen again. I'm expecting that now some of them have surfaced, but you can see very soon they will go back. It's not my prayer, but they will they will straighten by themselves. Let us watch you go back first. So the greatest welfare activity is to preach by your own personal example, to preach by distributing books, to preach to others by being unconditional in your attitude to your devotional practices, to preach by following the regulative principles. Okay? If you do that, you are doing the greatest welfare work, and Krishna will reward you with self-realization very soon. Hari Hari. So that is it.
Please come again by that. Come again. One. To preach personal attitude.
Yeah, following the regulative principle is preaching.
One. Yes.
Greatest welfare work. Living by example in terms of how you respond to challenging situations. How does this a devotee speak? when he's confronted by a challenging situation? How does he respond to challenges? Then 3, following the rules and regulations. Then going out to preach, also doing Sankirtan itself. Going to distribute books is all preaching. Chanting your rounds dedicatedly. Attending all programs. All this is preaching. If you are leaving the temple, and if you are leaving your house, for you conducting regular worship in your house is all part of the preaching. Offering your food before eating is all part of the preaching. And when you see people who are not doing that, you tell them. And generally to benefit people, let people see that they don't see you near beer parlor. Or, they don't see you in restaurant where people are eating, chewing meat. Don't go near them. And nobody will see you coming out from prostitute joint, joints with a cap, and trousers, and nothing that shows that you are a devotee. And then you are coming out from joints like that. Things like that. This is to the grossest level, Prabhu. Let us see by example. Then we actually preach. Not that in the evening you are coming from one direction that leads to one drink smoking joints. Every evening you are coming from one direction, that particular direction. Every day people start watching you. You will not know when somebody will trace you to where you actually you are coming from. And one day Krishna will expose you. The person will come to temple after powerful preaching. He will raise his hand. Are all devotees following the principle? Do devotees smoke? Do devotees smoke? Then you start smoking. The preacher will be struggling to answer the question. Devotees do not smoke. Generally, devotees do not smoke. But if you see any devotees smoke, that means it's deviating. You start struggling to balance the situation. Things like that should not happen through you. Don't put that philosophy into this by your own misconduct or attachment to sense gratification. We know everything that happens. And we are seeing that there are still people who are following. If you look well in every temple, you see people who are following Paka. Follow those people example. Understand? Associate with them, those who are following. Okay? Krishna always gives somebody as example to follow. Okay?
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. So, verse 33. We want to see Arjuna is sincere. You want to respond to what Krishna is requesting. And trying to control your senses, control your mind with determination, do devotional service and all that. Close your eyes, halfway, sit your back erect, and all this Ashtanga yoga process Krishna has been describing. Arjuna wants to respond now. So in verse 33, we'll see. 33 to 36, Arjuna registered the impracticality of this particular type of yoga that Krishna was recommending. Krishna is recommending this yoga, not that he wants Arjuna to do that, but he wants to see the difficulty there, so that when he compares it with the Bhakti yoga or Kama yoga is telling him to do, then Arjuna will choose wisely. So verse 33, Arjuna Uvacha Yoyam Yoga Syaga Prota Samyena Madhusudana Etasyaham Napasyami Chanchalatva Stitim Siram. Arjuna said, "Oh Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me. For the mind is restless and unsteady." Arjuna says, "Oh Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have To summarize, appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. The mind is restless and unsteady. Huh? So how can I control the mind? What is this mind that even when you are trying to chant, the mind that can travel to America, even as you are holding the beats, as you are saying Hare Krishna, immediately the mind will just pop up and start going to all the previous things you have done before, all the things you're supposed to do. The mind is actively trying to distract you. So how can I control this mind? The mind is like a rock that you are telling me to prick it with a pin. And Krishna, this is difficult to this type of yoga. Oh, Madhusudana, the killer of the demon of doubt. Can you kill the demon of doubt in your devotee's heart like this? My mind is overwhelmed by doubt now. Oh, killer of doubts, can you kill my doubt also? This is what Arjuna is asking. Somebody should read the purport. Read the purport. If you trust yourself, read the purport, Prabhu.
Purport. The system of mysticism described by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, beginning with the word Sukha Disi and ending with Yoga Parama, is here being rejected by Arjuna out of a feeling of inability. It is not possible for an ordinary man to leave home and go to a secluded place in the mountains or jungles to practice yoga in this age of Kali. The present age is characterized by a bitter struggle for a life of short duration. People are not serious about self-realization, even by simple, practical means, and what to speak of this difficult yoga system, which regulate the mode of living, the manner of sitting, selection of place, and detachment of the mind from material engagements. As a practical man, Arjuna thought it was impossible to follow this system of yoga, even though he was favorably endowed in many ways. He belonged to the royal family and was highly elevated in terms of numerous qualities. He was a great warrior. He had great longevity, and above all, he was the most intimate friend of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 5,000 years ago, Arjuna had much better facilities than we do now. Yet he refused to accept this system of yoga. In fact, we do not find any record in history of his practicing it at any time. Therefore, this system must be considered generally impossible in this age of Kali. Of course, it may be possible for some very few royal men, but for the people in general, it is an impossible proposal. If this were so 5,000 years ago, then what of the present day? Those who are imitating this yoga system in different so-called schools and societies, although complacent, are certainly wasting their time. They are completely in ignorance of the desired goal. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this type of yoga is impracticable, and especially to Arjuna, because Arjuna is right on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And Krishna wants Arjuna to attain equanimity of mind, to see all his friends and enemies as the same, and just carry out his duty without attachment. This is a direct challenge. It was too much for Arjuna because Arjuna was on the battlefield. Don't forget, Bhagavad Gita was spoken on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He was on the battlefield there, right there. And right on the battlefield, Krishna is expecting him to practice this equanimity of mind and fight as a matter of duty. But that one is not possible because where is he going to perform Ashtanga Yoga at that very particular point? You see, so he's registering this impracticability to Krishna, that to tell me to attain equanimity of mind by the strength of intelligence, to be able to see friends and enemies equally and simultaneously carry out my duty of fighting. It is very, very difficult to. Can you see Yudhishthira and Duryodhana as the same? Yudhishthira is my brother. He has been so, his religion personified. Duryodhana has been so envious and nefarious. So as you see them as the same, with equal vision, then do my duty of finishing their addressing. As a matter of duty, Krishna, I can't do this. My mind could not, I cannot comprehend this is impracticable. And the Ashtanga Yoga system you are talking, forget about it. To go and sit in a particular sitting place, maybe by the side of River Yamuna, to sit down and make a table, a seat that is not too high or too low, to close my eyes halfway. What are you telling me to do, Baba? Anyway, you are not expecting me to do this. You are just telling me so that I can compare with this action in Krishna consciousness, so I can do my duty. So Arjuna is expressing his inability to do this yoga. And the next verse also, he tried to enumerate it more. So verse 34. Verse 34. Chanchalam Hare Krishna.
But it is said we should not argue with the spiritual master or disobey the order of the spiritual master. So if Krishna as a spiritual master of Arjuna, and like Krishna is giving this knowledge to Arjuna, and he's arguing, is this the right thing? Or
it's a nice question you're asking, but your voice is quite low. So, but I can get a glimpse of it that the disciples should not argue with the spiritual master. And here, Arjuna is Krishna is Arjuna's spiritual master, and it appears Arjuna is arguing with Krishna. Abi?
yes, that is the question. Yes, you are right. Yes, right.
So it is true that one should not argue with the spiritual master, but it is also true that Tadvidi Pranipatena Pariprasnena Sevaya Padeshanti Te Gyanam Gyanina Statva Darsana, that we should just try to inquire just approach the spiritual master, inquire from him, and render services unto him, that he can impart knowledge on us. So submissive inquiry is encouraged. It's not been a challenging mood, but it's a submissive inquiry. Arjuna is not actually challenging Krishna, but he's submissively inquiring, because his disciple must clarify his doubts. Blind following is condemned in every way. Blind following is condemned in the purport there. Both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. 2, blind following and absurd inquiries. That means you must inquire, you must ask relevant questions. Understand? Ask relevant questions to your guru for clarification. But don't go in a challenging mood. Ask him submissively. Gurudev, I'm supposed to do this and that, but the way I'm seeing, I'm having trouble with my mind. My mind is giving me so much of trouble. I cannot control my mind. I am constantly thinking of this the sex life. Whereas I'm supposed to give up sex, and my mind is always going there. How do I conquer the mind? You are making submissive inquiries in order to progress, in order to be able to practice better. So don't hold back those questions. When you see your guru, ask him questions. When you see any guru, ask him questions that can help you to evolve in your Krishna consciousness. Don't hold them back. ask them, but don't ask in a challenging spirit. Yes, Hare Krishna.
In animal kingdom also, where stupidity is the main subject, question and answer is going. Bible also is also asking question. That Bible was key to knowledge is question and answer. So you are right, Bible. You should be submissive. Animal kingdom, where stupidity is the main subject, question and answer is going. So Bible is question. You see, asking question to know. That same thing Adun is doing also, Babuji.
Yes. Though part of your voice was arrested by a network demon, but still we tried to manage to get it. So we have to be very careful. It's always alert to try to distract us. When you're asking important question, we try to hold you down so that we will not hear the question well. Can you overcome him by asking the question again?
I say, in animal kingdom, are you hearing Babuji? In animal kingdom,
we are forcing to hear.
In animal kingdom, where stupidity is the main subject, question and answer is still go on. So, but for that Bible to ask question also that give a room to Adun also to ask a question also. So, key to knowledge is question and answer. That's I want to support what you are saying.
Oh yeah. Good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Question and answer. That is our system. We have to take a humble position to tell the Guru what we don't know, to tell him what is disturbing us, in the mood of wanting to take the instructions that come from him and put it into practice and making advancement. Then we can ask 200 questions, 300 questions even. The Guru will be smiling. But when you are trying to challenge, you will know that you are trying to challenge. Those kind of challenging questions should not be asked. But submissive inquiries, the Guru like it. And when they are relevant, the questions are relevant, the Guru is very happy. Relevant means questions that will identify your level of consciousness and, how you can make progress from that level to the next level. These are called relevant inquiries. But an inquiry becomes irrelevant when maybe you want to know about what is Balaram's relationship with Radharani. You want to quiz the Guru, ask him questions. when the peacock raises left feather in the spiritual world, what does it mean? The Guru will say, my friend, come down here. Let us talk about sense control, mind and sense control. So that we can do proper devotional service. These are the questions that I'm expecting from you, relevant inquiries. So always never fail to ask your Guru for clarification whenever you are not clear about anything. Ask. Even this one sometimes Krishna called Arjuna Mahabau, Almighty Armed One. Arjuna is also calling Krishna Mahabau. They are very intelligent, two very intelligent persons. Krishna say, oh winner of wealth, oh winner of wealth. You use these your arms to go and conquer so many places and brought riches to Yudhishthira to do Rajasuya sacrifice. So can you still use that same hand to control your mind, control your senses, and conquer your enemies or call lost? Can you? You conquer so many great empires and emperors. Hey, why don't you just conquer your mind and your senses and engage them in the service of the Lord? This is a challenge for you. Then Arjuna will call you and say, oh Mahabao, oh mighty armed one. You are the mighty armed one. Use your mighty hands to protect your devotee. Protect your devotee. I'm your devotee. Protect my intelligence with this your mighty hands. Sometimes they are joking, sometimes it goes sarcastic, but everything is in place. There is humility there, and disciple is intelligent, the Guru is intelligent, and they are answering each other's questions just to pull themselves along. So it's okay. You must ask questions, Prabhu, but not in a challenging spirit. Ask questions in the spirit of the Bhagavad Gita, spirit of
Prabhuji, please, you are muted though. Your mic is off.
Krishna. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for. Okay, verse 34. Verse 34. Chanchala Mana Krishna Pramati Balavadridam Tasyam Nigrahamanye Vayo Iva Suduskaram. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the winds. Okay? Somebody should read the purpose.
Purpose. The mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence. Although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence, for a man in the practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it is certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium toward both friend and enemy, but ultimately, no worldly man can do so, for this is so more difficult than controlling the raging wind. In the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad 1:3-4, it is said, Atmanam Ratinam Vidi Sariram Ratam Evacha. Buddhim tu Sarating Vidi Mana Pragaham Evacha. Niriyani Hayan Ahu Visayam Tesu Gocharam. Atmanindriya Mano Yuktam Bukteta Aho Manisina. The individual is the passenger in the car of the material body. And intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence. As an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of medicine, such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga. But such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjuna. And what can you say of modern man? The simile used here is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind, and it is even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility. The method prescribed is Savai Mana Krishna Padaravindayo. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagement to agitate the mind. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here, Arjuna is submitting more. He's trying to establish the fact that the mind is very difficult to control. And there is sincerity in it. Arjuna is not pretending. There is sincerity in what he's saying. And that's why in the next verse, Krishna will, we approve of what he said before he gave him the formula to control the mind. The mind is actually very, very difficult to control. In fact, Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, he commented that intelligence is sometimes compared to a sharp needle. Intelligence is compared to a very sharp needle. Okay? That even the very sharp needle of the intelligence cannot pierce the strong mind. No, any more than a needle can possibly pierce iron. The strong mind is compared to be an iron. and the mind is compared, the intelligence is compared to be a very sharp needle. A needle, sharp needle can easily pierce a paper or cloth or some leather, but it cannot pierce a rock. It cannot pierce an iron. So the mind is very, very stubborn. This is the whole simile. The mind is very, very difficult to control. It's like piercing an iron with a sharp needle. Or differently said, Arjuna put it that he gave another simile that the wind is very, very difficult to control, but the wind can be controlled by some wind gauge or barometer you can use to control the wind. But the mind is stronger than the wind. It's more difficult. There is no simple formula to control the mind. There is no some mechanical formula to controlling the mind. So the mind is very, very stubborn. So how are you telling me to control the mind? It's not easy, it's not easy, master. You see? Yes. And therefore, that is it. Arjuna, he compares his mind to the wind. Yes. An unstoppable, very strong enemy. The mind's sunset, the mind's unrest is also sometimes compared to a chronic disease that won't respond to any medicine. Some diseases are so chronic that any medicine you apply will not work. So what to do? The mind is so difficult to control. What to do? And you are telling me to control the mind. It's like impossible. Impossible. It is unbreakable. It is completely, very stubborn. See, very obstinate. So the business of the mind is to accept things and reject things, bringing in different kinds of desires, all based on your previous association with the modes, your previous association with the modes, in previous lives and early lives. So many impressions are in the mind, and all these ones are forcing themselves on you, especially when you want to take up a process of controlling the mind. Like when you are not trying to achieve something, when you are not ready to go to a place, maybe you want to travel to somewhere, you will not think of the difficulties. It is when you really want to travel that all the difficulties will now surface themselves. So you want to travel, first you have to overcome it. You want to travel, first you have to overcome it. You get a bag, appropriate bag, go to the embassy, get visa, then you have to buy ticket, you have to pass this test, pass this interview before you can travel. So it is when you are not trying to control the mind, you will not know that you are already overwhelmed. By the time you make up your mind to control the mind, that is when the mind will wake up and start presenting all kinds of obstacles to you. So are you really ready to control the mind? It's not easy, Krishna. It's not easy. So in text 33 and 34, these are Arjuna's responses to Krishna's questions. Yes. Why don't you just control your mind with your intelligence? This is Krishna question. Arjuna, why don't you just control your mind with your intelligence? Why? Then Arjuna said, oh, the mind is so turbulent, the mind is restless, is obstinate and very strong, oh Krishna, and to subdue it like more difficult than controlling the wind. He is sincerely presenting his situation without pretending. Then the next verse answers this question. If controlling the mind is possible, by what means can I do it? As you are telling me to control the mind, I'm saying it's impossible. If it is possible, then what is the means? What is the process of controlling the mind? Then in verse 35, Krishna says, Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Samsayama Bao Manodruni Graham Chalam Adhyasena Tukunteya Vairagena Chagriyate. Lord Sri Krishna said, O mighty armed Arjuna, son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. It's not giving the formula. By suitable practice and by detachment, or by constant practice and by detachment. So, purport, please. What is this suitable practice and what is the detachment you are talking of?
Purport. The difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind, as expressed by Arjuna, is accepted by the personality of Godhead. But at the same time, he suggests that by practicing and detachment, it is possible. What is that practice? In the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the supersoul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. By the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagement is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method of purging the mind of all misgiving. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. By detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn Vairaga. Vairaga means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind in spirit. In personal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment is called Parishanubhava, spiritual satisfaction. It is just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for every morsel of food he eats. The more one eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is sometimes like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind. And eating the foodstuff offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, this is beautiful. Hearing of the transcendental activities of the Lord is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind. And eating the foodstuff offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness. So that is it. Because Arjuna has presented to Krishna how difficult it is to control the mind, and Krishna is responding that it is true. What you have said is true. Sincerely, it is true that it's very difficult to control the mind and sense. But it is possible. How? By constant practice and by detachment. What is this constant practice? The practice of the devotional processes. the 9 processes of bhakti that are handed over to us. In other words, by Bhagavad Arpita Niskama Kama Yoga. This is practice. Okay? Engage your senses in devotional practices. Chant, hear about the Lord constantly. Hear about the Lord. Hear about the Lord. Hear about the implications of following your mind, becoming a servant of your mind. Hear about the Lord's pastimes. Hear about how the Lord dealt with different situations. Hear about how the Lord protects his devotees. Hear about how security is only being in the presence of the Lord. Hear about the Lord, the pastimes and activities of the Lord. So, hearing, you hear, you chant the holy name, and you also repeat what you have heard to others. You chant and you also repeat what you have heard to others. Preach about the glories of Krishna. And in this way, all the 9 processes of bhakti, if you engage yourself in them, this is called constant practice. Acting for the pleasure of the Lord. This is called constant practice. This you should do every day. So by constant practice and by detachment, engaging the mind in scrutinizing the scriptures especially, and hearing and talking about Krishna, the mind is always engaged in devotional activities. Then the mind will become controlled. But if you sit down in one place trying to control the mind, it is very, very difficult. Okay, so take shelter of devotional activities. Practice them diligently with determination. Then the mind will constantly, with detachment, that means act for the pleasure of the Lord. Weigh the consequences of your action. An action that will not please the Lord, you don't do it. An action that will please the Lord, you do it. And if you are acting, you are not acting with attachment to the result. Do your duty without attachment to the result. That means do your duties unconditionally. Engage in positive devotional activities unconditionally. And you will attract my grace. And by my grace, you will be there. By constant practice and by detachment, you will attain. So it is very important. Hearing of the transcendental activities of the Lord is therefore expert treatment. All conditioned souls are compared to that we are sick. We are sick, and the material world is like a hospital. We are sick, and the material world is like a hospital. When you are in a hospital, you will not want to stay in the hospital. You are not there in the hospital to live there as your home. No. You are there in the hospital to receive treatments so that you can become cured of your sickness. So, hearing of the transcendental activities of the Lord is the expert treatment for the mind that is compared to be mad. Constantly hear about Krishna and bring the mind on track. And you should eat only food, because if somebody is sick, his diet is regulated. And for the sick person, those of us who are in the material world, we should eat only Krishna Prasadam as a diet. So with the combination of this treatment, constant hearing about Krishna, and eating only food that is offered to Krishna, the appropriate diet, very soon, the process, everything will be okay with us. We can become cured of this madness of desire for material enjoyment. That is it. And he said, as you constantly practice it, the more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. By detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn Vairagya. And say Vairagya means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind in spirit. That means simultaneously you detach from matter engagement and you simultaneously attach yourself to devotional activity. So attachment and detachment, they are two coins of the same, the two sides of the same coin. On one side is detachment from matter, and the other side is attachment to activities in Krishna. So this attachment is called Paresa Anubhavo, or spiritual satisfaction. And there is a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that this is extracted from. That is in the 11th canto. 11th canto. 11th canto, 2nd chapter, verse number 42. It is stated there. Bhakti Paresa Anubhavo Virakti Anyatra Chaisa Trika Ekakala Prapadya Manasya Yatas Natasyu Tusti Pusti Shud Apayo Anugasam. That devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. These other things, things that are not favorable to devotional service. These three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the same way as pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger become simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person. When a person is hungry, as soon as he starts eating, you receive pleasure, you receive nourishment, and you receive relief from hunger simultaneously as you are eating. With every bite, every further bite, until you become saturated, then no more desire to eat. You push the plate away, you wash your hands, and you go away. So we want to acquire detachment. It's not something artificial. It comes automatically as we engage in devotional activities. This is how glorious this our devotional practice is. It comes automatically. So this is the process: constant practice and by detachment. Constant practice and by detachment. Okay. They say even according to Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, even when a disease is advanced, if the patient places himself under the care of an expert physician, that expert physician is the spiritual master, then the regular treatment, abhyasa or practice of detachment and vairagya, by constant practice abhyasa and by detachment, vairagya, everything will become effective. And Krishna called Arjuna Mahabahu, mighty armed Arjuna. Mighty armed Arjuna. Arjuna's arms were mighty, were so strong that he defeated even Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva, however, is not nearly as strong as the crown jewel of all warriors, the mind. The mind is stronger than even Lord Shiva. So if Arjuna can control his mind by yoga, then he can rightly claim the title Mahabahu. So Krishna is challenging Arjuna to control his mind, to practice this constant practice and detachment. Constantly practice Niskama Kama Yoga and also detach yourself from the results and fight. Do not worry. You are the son of my aunt Kunti. I will help you control the mind. So Krishna continues instructing Arjuna on how to control the mind in the next verse, after which we will close. Verse 36. Asamsayat mana yogo dusprapa itime mati vasyat mana tu yatatas sakyo baptum upayata. That for one whose mind is unbridled self-realization is a difficult work. But for he whose mind is controlled and who strives for appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion.
First point. The Supreme Personality of Godhead declares that one who does not accept the proper treatment to teach the mind from material engagement can hardly achieve success in self-realization. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. Such a show-off yoga may be, may be materially lucrative, but it is useless as far as spiritual realization is concerned. Therefore, one must control the mind by engaging it constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Unless one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he cannot steadily control the mind. A Krishna conscious person easily achieves the result of yoga practice without separate endeavor. But a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna conscious. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Krishna is comparing again so that Arjuna can conclude for himself that this type of yoga practice is more difficult than practicing Krishna consciousness or taking direct order from the Lord and carrying it out with detachment. That in whatever cases, whether we practice Niskama Kama Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Astanga Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga, we need one thing, Abhyasa, that means constant practice, and Vairagya, detachment, to succeed. We need to practice constantly, and we need to be detached from the fruits if we want to succeed in any form of yoga. So Abhyasa means to follow the processes or principles of yoga. That means you have to follow, you have to practice sadhana. Then we can succeed in yoga practice by following the procedures given by Guru and Sastra and by renunciation or vairagya, unfavorable things, things that are not favorable for the execution of devotional service. We should renounce them. Then we should work under the guidance of the spiritual master and we should practice regularly. So, working under the guidance of the Guru, practicing detachment, that means rejecting all those things that are unfavorable to devotional service, and by constant sadhana, we can arrive. That after understanding the formidability of the obstacles to progress in yoga, and after hearing of the processes to remove them, Arjuna spoke the next verse. That means somehow or the other, Arjuna agreed. He agreed to practice what Krishna is telling him. But he wants to know if one has started practicing self-control, he has left his family to the forest practicing yoga, he has been determined in controlling the mind and the senses. And if he continues, is now in the forest, he has started the yoga process and he has left for the forest and is doing this Astanga yoga, for instance. If somehow or the other he is unable to, complete the yoga process, he is asking, what is his situation? Will he lose? Will he lose everything? He has already left the material world. He's practicing yoga. Is on the way going. If he doesn't conclude, will he lose everything and become like a non-entity, or become like a cloud that is disconnected from the main cloud that is on the way now? He cannot control itself. Will he just get blown away by the wind? What happens for one who is not successful in yoga practice, even though he has already started? Now you have left your home, you are in the temple trying to practice Bhakti yoga. If you do not attain perfection, what happens? Do you lose everything because you lost the material side and the spiritual one you did not arrive? You have not attained perfection. Will you lose everything? What will be your situation? What is the position of an unsuccessful yogi? So these are the next set of questions Arjuna is going to ask Krishna. He's ready to follow Krishna, but if somehow or the other he got distracted and he couldn't attain perfection, what comes of him? Does he lose everything and become like a raven cloud, like a non-entity in the clouds, a cloud that is not connected, is disconnected from the main one, and is being blown away by the wind? What happens to him? These are the next set of questions. Arjuna is willing to follow Krishna's direction, but he wants to clarify what happens if he did not succeed in the practice of yoga. Like somebody who has started devotional service, along the line, it falls off. You practice, you have started devotional service. You have not become a pure devotee yet, but you are not an ordinary person again. You have practiced self-control. You no longer eat meat, fish, or egg. No gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. But you are practicing. If somehow or the other you could not complete, you didn't become a guru, a pure devotee, what happens to you? Do you continue from where you stop in your next life? Or what happens? Or do you just lose everything? So this is the next question that Arjuna is going to ask Krishna. But for now, Arjuna is ready to practice this constant practice and by detachment, just as we are ready to do our devotional activities. But we are asking, in case we don't become perfect devotees, what happens to us? Do we lose everything? Or do we still have some benefits? So this is going to be the next session. And we are going to continue from there to next weekend. The Thursday classes, the devotees are not coming up, but we still see. On Thursday, there will be class. If devotees are able to attend, then this coming weekend, we are going to conclude this particular unit. And once we conclude the unit, the next weekend we'll write exams for this unit. Not this coming weekend though. On Thursday and Saturday, we'll be able to finish the remaining portion. On Thursdays and Saturday, we'll be able to finish the remaining portion. But if we want to just go slow and conclude everything, then Sunday, next week Sunday, we'll conclude this unit. And the next weekend, we are going to write exams. The weekend after this coming one, we are going to write exams. Then we start with the next unit. Maybe we write the exams on Saturday, then on Sunday, the next unit will start or whatever. But we are getting closer to concluding these units. Let there be full attendance and let us see. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, please, concerning the exam, is it going to be the last Saturday of the month, or because you said Sunday coming week?
Yes.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The exams, definitely the last Saturday of the month, we are going to write our exams. Hare Krishna.
All right, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
This coming weekend, surely we are finishing the units. So we have 3 more lectures and short ones. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Enjoy your Sunday. And pray for us. Isana Goranga and Anantajit, you should arrange to send me some data right now, immediately after this class. Balabhadra, Balabhadra and Ato Bhakti, send some data to Gamatami Mataji. send some data to Jamasami Mataji, contact Jamasami Mataji, and try to help her to be able to serve us. Hare Krishna, thank you. Onyeka God Jehovah, you are hearing also. Thank you. See you.
Okay, concord. We concord.
Yeah.
Agree.
Just be with Jamasami Mataji, find out what he needs so that you can facilitate her to serve you better. Okay? These are the good devotees we want to see. These are the caring devotees we want to see. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, enjoy your Sunday program. Haribo. It's confounder Charles Laisi Bhakti Sastri Swami Prabhupada Ki. Jai.
Yeah.